But if you had to give somebody a first step that someone can take in the next 24 hours to where they can really marry some action to these new thoughts and put it into practice, what would you tell them or advise them to do?
Well, it's interesting to think about the next 24 hours part of that question. But I'm going to say something here that could apply to any of these things that we have been talking about. And it's basically get some traveling buddies. And it's true if you're in the C-suite or not, but ultimately there is a real advantage when we begin to walk down the road of personal and leadership development to have other people in that story. And when I say other, I'm thinking like 2 or 3 others. Who are 2 or 3 other people that you trust who would want to be consistently in leadership development conversations, whose perspectives you have respect for. And to be able to say, and this is going to be the simplest example ever, but let's just say you had 2 or 3 other folks. You said, look, we're going to get together and have lunch once a month. And we're going to talk about how we're doing with regard to leading and what we've been observing and what we're thinking and where we might be succeeding and where we might be failing. This is very generic in that regard. But the point is, if you've got traveling buddies, here's what happens. Number one, there's accountability. So if there's accountability to talk about it, or you're reading a book or whatever it is you might be doing, you know, if we're 5 to 6 times more likely to show up for a workout, if we're working out with somebody, then we're probably 5 to 6 more times likely to be in conscious leadership development conversations if we're doing it along with other people and not just inside our own head. So there's an accountability there. Matthew Kelly says that there are many things that make us unique as human beings. The need to be held accountable is not one of them. And so this is the thing that we all need. So the traveling buddies part starts with accountability, but it goes further than that, because when I let people into my story and they're able to not only know about my actions, but I am able to share some of the motives and perspectives that were behind that, I get a chance to get their feedback. So it's not just that I'm going to show up to work on these things, but I get another person's perspective outside of mine, which increases the speed of my learning. And then if we're all playing in this pond of reciprocity, I get to watch your story unfold too. I get to learn from what you're doing. And so there's another aspect in which the learning process gets to speed forward. And so when I think about leadership development, it should be, in my opinion, a team sport whenever possible. And if you can find 2 or 3 folks, and this really doesn't matter, you can be in your first leadership job ever, or you could be in a C-suite. But to have 2 or 3 other people that you're traveling with on a consistent basis, who you respect, who are willing to have challenging conversations, who care about one another, but because they do, they're not going to spare one another the truth. That, no matter what aspect of leadership you're working on, there may be nothing more valuable than great partners to travel with along the way. There's so many positives that come out of having a small group like that you can talk with.
Yeah, I 100% agree. That is one that's hard for some people to find. So in that, what I might say, because I believe that is going to be huge and can help you with those 3 qualities, is that just start writing down, like the one step. You just write down some potential candidates.
Yeah, there you go. That's great.
And think through, and then maybe even why that person. What can they offer you? What can you offer them? Right. So there's some compliments. So I have some that they have experienced in other industries, or maybe that they've been in leadership longer. So I get wisdom. I give them new ideas and energy. I help them feel young, or whatever that might be. But think of the names. I mean, get you a list of 6. Maybe not everybody's willing to do that, because that is some level of commitment, and not everybody wants to be held accountable. They may not be ready for it. They may need it, but they may not be ready for it. You can't force that on them, because maybe they're not in that same place that you are. But anybody can write those down and then follow up. Make one call. Step into courage and have a tough conversation. Yep. Be humble during it, and lock the door so that it's secure. I think I got that right.
Right. Well, you got it.